There are very few African artists whose rise to global fame has been as explosive, as celebrated, and as controversial as Burna Boy. For more than a decade, he has dominated African airwaves, international charts, and global stages, establishing himself as one of the most influential musicians of his generation. His sound, unmistakable. His energy, unmatched. His confidence, sometimes overwhelming. And his talent, undeniable. From the early breakout days with hits like to Party, all the way to Grammy-winning albums, sold-out arenas, and worldwide acclaim, Burna Boy climbed to the top of the music world with speed and strength very few artists ever achieve. He became the symbol of African excellence, a giant representing Africa on the global stage. But behind the music, the sold-out tours, the boast, and the legendary performances, something else was brewing. Something darker. A pattern that has followed Burna Boy from the early days, a pattern of conflict, controversy, and a growing disconnect between the superstar and the audience that made him. For years, people brushed it off as Burna being Burna. Some said it was confidence. Some called it misunderstood genius. Others said it was ego. But whatever it was, it kept growing. And eventually, the very things that carried him to the top started working against him. This is the story of how Burna Boy intentionally or unintentionally built himself up for disaster. A story of talent, ambition, success, unchecked confidence, public clashes, and the small seeds that grew into big consequences. This is not a hate piece. This is not a takedown. This is simply the story of how one of Africa's greatest stars reached a point where his actions and decisions began to catch up with him. Before Burna Boy became the global icon known as the African Giant, he was Domini Ogulu, a gifted, energetic young artist from Port Harcourt who refused to blend in or follow the rules. From the beginning, Burna Boy's personality was clear, bold, rebellious, hungry, and unwilling to play by anybody's script. And in the music industry, that attitude can either make you or break you. His first major hit, Like to Party, introduced the world to a fresh, effortless voice. A sound that mixed Afrobeat, dancehall, reggae, and street energy. He wasn't trying to sound like anybody else. He wasn't even trying to fit in. He was simply being himself, raw, confident, unpredictable. But what people didn't know was that this personality, the same force driving his creativity, was also the same personality that would later lead him into situations that fueled controversy after controversy. As Burna Boy rose, his confidence rose with him. He was outspoken, he was unfiltered, and he was very comfortable saying exactly what he felt. Whether he was calling out fellow artists, disagreeing with the industry, or expressing strong opinions online, one thing became clear. Burna Boy was not afraid of chaos. He was fueled by it. But at this stage in his life, the chaos worked for him. People loved the rebellious energy. It was refreshing. It made him stand out in an industry full of polished, media-trained artists. Then came the albums that would change his entire career, Outside, African Giant, and Twice as Tall. These weren't just albums, they were statements. Declarations of dominance. Proof that Burna Boy wasn't just playing in the African music space, he was aiming for global territory. His performances evolved into legendary shows. His interviews became viral moments. His confidence turned into a signature. But as the fame increased, so did the expectations, and so did the pressure. A great artist becomes a global superstar. But a global superstar must now deal with global scrutiny. And slowly, very slowly, the cracks began to show. What started as confidence gradually started looking like something else. A pattern of controversies that followed him from country to country, from show to show, from online space to real-life encounters. People began celebrating the music, but questioning the man behind it. Even at the peak of his early success, Burna Boy's relationship with controversy never truly went away. Some of the earliest signs came from public clashes, heated outbursts, and situations that turned viral, situations where his passion or anger overshadowed his talent. There were moments where his comments rubbed fans the wrong way. Moments where arrival delays caused frustration. Instances where interactions with fans appeared a little too aggressive or dismissive. But each time, his star power covered the cracks. People said, "It's Burna. He's being real. He's just expressive." The music was too good. The wins were too big. The world loved a superstar who wasn't afraid to be himself. But behind the scenes, something else was happening. As Burna Boy grew, his lifestyle grew too: bigger shows, larger crowds, bigger responsibilities, and higher expectations. Being late to a show might slide once or twice. Being dismissive might slide when fans don't care. Controversial statements might slide when you're still rising. But when you reach global status, the world watches everything. Everything becomes evidence. Everything becomes a pattern. Over the years, Burna Boy developed a reputation, not officially, but through public perception, of an artist who didn't always treat his audience the way they expected, or meet industry standards consistently. Shows started running late. Controversies involving security incidents began to surface. Clashes with fans made headlines. Moments of arrogance made rounds online. Comments that sounded dismissive or overly proud added more fuel. One thing about fame is this: when people love you, they forgive you. When they expect perfection from you, they start keeping score. Every superstar makes mistakes. But when too many mistakes start piling up, people begin to ask questions. Was this just personality? Or was this a pattern? Was Burna Boy truly misunderstood? Or was he heading towards a point where fans would finally push back? These small cracks didn't destroy him at the time, but they planted seeds. Seeds that would grow into something bigger, something more serious, years later. The stage was set for the bigger problems ahead. As Burna Boy's fame reached the global peak, his controversies also became more global. From late arrivals to shows, to disagreements with promoters, to incidents involving fans, every year came with at least one moment that trended for the wrong reasons. Then came the fan interaction issues, moments where he confronted fans, removed fans from shows, or addressed crowds in ways some found harsh. Again, this doesn't destroy a career, but it shapes public perception. The breaking point came when he removed a couple from his show because one of them seemed uninterested or sleepy. Even though he defended his actions, the internet reacted strongly. People argued. Artists should not insult fans. People paid to be there. Some people get tired. It doesn't mean they don't love the music. The relationship between Burna Boy and his audience, especially in the international scene, became strained. Then, more shows were cancelled. Some due to promoter issues. Some due to logistics. Some due to unclear circumstances. In a world where perception is powerful, this became the beginning of a narrative that Burna Boy was unreliable or unconcerned about his fans. Slowly, the world started asking uncomfortable questions. Is Burna Boy becoming too big to listen? Too proud to adjust? Too confident to accept that fans make the star? These weren't attacks. These were genuine concerns from people who once defended him fiercely. It wasn't about one event. It was about the accumulation. A slow build-up of controversies, each one adding a little more weight until the giant began to stagger under the load. Burna Boy's music was still excellent. His performances were still powerful. His success was still unmatched. But the relationship between his greatness and his decisions was slowly breaking. This is where the disaster truly began. Then came the moment that tipped the scale, another controversial fan ejection incident that went viral globally. What shocked people was not just the action, but the confidence behind it. For many fans, it felt like a line had been crossed. The industry began whispering. Promoters began hesitating. Fans began complaining louder. The media began circling. Twitter and TikTok began amplifying every story. Suddenly, Burna Boy, the global giant, found himself in a storm created by both his own actions and the circumstances around him. And this wasn't an overnight disaster. This was the result of years of unresolved patterns. Confidence turning into arrogance. Passion turning into confrontation. Fame turning into pressure. Pressure turning into misjudgment. Misjudgment turning into public backlash. Each decision, each comment, each controversy added a small stone. Until the weight finally became too heavy to ignore. Burna Boy didn't fall because he lacked talent. He didn't fall because he wasn't a great artist. He didn't fall because people hated him. He fell because the reputation he built over the years finally caught up with him. So how exactly did Burna Boy get to this point? 3 main reasons. 1. The consequences of a strong personality. A strong personality brings strength, authenticity, and creativity. But when it's not balanced with humility, empathy, and discipline, it can become a source of chaos. Burna Boy has always been fiery, emotional, expressive. These traits helped him rise. But these same traits also created many of the controversies he faced. 2. The pressure of being a global star. When you reach Burna Boy's level, every action becomes global news. Every mistake becomes magnified. Every delay becomes a trend. Every comment becomes a headline. Artists at the top face pressure that normal people cannot understand. And sometimes, that pressure pushes them into uncomfortable decisions. 3. Audience expectations. Once you sell out stadiums. Once you become the African giant. Once the world begins to call you the face of Afrobeat. Fans expect perfection. All the time. No excuses. And when perfection doesn't happen, the backlash is instant. In the end, Burna Boy reached this point because the little cracks in his career, the ones ignored for years, became too loud, too visible, and too frequent. Despite everything, Burna Boy is far from finished. Giants don't fall easily. They stumble, but they rise again. The controversies don't erase his talent. The cancellations don't erase his impact. The backlash doesn't erase his brilliance. But this moment, right now, will shape his legacy. This is the turning point where he must decide. Will he change? Will he grow? Will he listen? Will he rebuild trust? Because talent will take you to the top. But character keeps you there. If Burna Boy chooses to reflect, rebuild, and refocus, his comeback will be legendary. If not, the disaster may only be beginning. But one thing is certain. No matter what, the story of Burna Boy will always be one of the most fascinating stories in African music history. A story of greatness, flaws, triumphs, conflicts, and the journey of a man who became a global giant, but also learned the hard way that giants can fall too. This is not a story about failure. This is a story about humanity. About the reality of fame. About the weight of expectations. And about the complexity of an artist who touched the world and struggled with the world at the same time. This is the story of how Burna Boy built himself up for disaster. And how he still has the power to rise again.